The morning sun came through the kitchen window and made everything warm and bright. Ambassador Vrexal stood at the door of a small human house and looked at everything with his 4 eyes. He had been on Earth for only 3 days. Everything was still new and strange to him. Vrexal was not human. He came from a planet called Kethra, very far away from Earth. His skin was covered in blue scales that changed color when he felt strong emotions. He had 4 arms instead of 2, and 3 hearts beat inside his chest. Back home, he was an important person. The Kethrani Collective had sent him to Earth to learn about humans and to write reports about them. The door opened and a tall human male stood there. His name was Ben Morrison. He had brown hair on his head and a friendly look on his face. He stretched his mouth in that way humans did when they were happy. Vrexal had learned this was called a smile. "Welcome to our home," Ben said. "We are very happy to have you here." Vrexal bent his head forward. This was how his people showed respect. "Thank you for letting me stay with your family," he said. His voice came through a small device on his neck. The device changed his words into English, so humans could understand him. Ben stepped aside and let Vrexal enter the house. Inside, the air smelled like food cooking. Sweet smells filled the space. Vrexal had never smelled anything like it before. On Kethra, food did not smell sweet. Food smelled like meat and blood and sometimes like the dust of the desert. A human female walked out of the kitchen. She was shorter than Ben and had yellow hair that fell to her shoulders. Her name was Katie Morrison. She was Ben's mate, which humans called a wife. "You must be our guest," Katie said. Her smile was even bigger than Ben's. "I'm making breakfast. Are you hungry?" Vrexal did not know how to answer this question. His people ate once every 3 days. Humans seemed to eat many times each day. This was one of the strange things about them. "I can eat," he said carefully. Katie laughed. It was a light sound like small bells ringing. "Great," she said. "Come sit down." "The kids are already at the table." Kids, this word meant young humans. Vrexal had read about human children in his studies. They were small versions of adult humans. They could not take care of themselves and needed their parents to protect them and feed them. On Kethra, young ones were called cubs, and they were watched every moment of every day. The world was too dangerous to let them out of sight. Vrexal followed Katie into the kitchen. There was a large wooden table in the middle of the room. 2 small humans sat at the table. They were very small, much smaller than Vrexal had expected. The first one was a male cub. His name was Danny, and he was 7 years old. He had brown hair like his father and big round eyes that looked at everything with curiosity. The second one was a female cub. Her name was Lily, and she was 5 years old. She had yellow hair like her mother and a small nose with tiny spots on it that humans called freckles. Both cubs stopped eating when Vrexal walked in. They stared at him with their mouths open. Vrexal understood why. He looked very different from them. His blue scales, his 4 arms, his 4 eyes. He was probably the strangest thing they had ever seen. "Wow," Danny said. "He is so cool." Lily did not say anything. She just stared and stared. "Kids," Ben said in a firm voice. "It is not polite to stare. Say hello to Ambassador VRX, single quotes, Hello," Danny said quickly. "Do you really have 4 arms? Can you pick up 4 things at the same time?" Vrexal felt his scales shift to a lighter blue. This happened when he was amused. "Yes," he said. "I can pick up 4 things at the same time. That is so awesome," Danny said. Lily still said nothing. She had put her small hand over her mouth and was watching Vrexal with wide eyes. Katie put a plate in front of Vrexal. On the plate were 3 round flat things. They were brown and soft-looking. Next to them was a small container with thick amber liquid inside. "These are pancakes," Katie explained. "You pour the syrup on top and then eat them. They are sweet. Sweet." This was a taste that Vrexal had never experienced on his home planet. He picked up the container with one of his hands and poured the liquid onto the flat food. Then he cut a small piece with the tool Katie had given him. He put it in his mouth. The taste was unlike anything he had ever known. It was soft and warm, and the sweetness spread across his tongue. His scales shifted to a bright purple color. This happened when he was surprised in a good way. "This is very good," he said. Katie looked pleased. "I'm glad you like it," she said. The family began to eat together. Rexall watched them carefully. This was his job after all. He was here to observe humans and learn about their ways. He made notes in his mind about everything he saw. Ben drank a dark liquid from a cup. He said it was called coffee and that it helped him wake up in the morning. Katie ate her pancakes slowly and talked about her plans for the day. She worked from home, doing something with computers. The cubs ate quickly. They seemed to have a lot of energy inside their small bodies. Danny kept moving in his seat. He could not seem to sit still. Lily picked at her food. She ate some bites but left others on her plate. "Can I be done?" Danny asked his mother, "Did you finish your food?" Katie asked back. Danny looked at his plate. There was still half a pancake left. "Almost," he said. "Finish your food first," Katie said. Danny sighed but kept eating. Lily pushed her food around with her fork. She had eaten even less than her brother. Rexall observed all of this. On Kethra, cubs did not leave food on their plates. Food was hard to find in the desert. Every bite was precious. But here on Earth, there seemed to be so much food that the cubs could choose not to eat it all. A few minutes passed. Danny finished his pancake. "Can I go now?" He asked again. "Yes, you may be excused," Katie said. Danny jumped up from his chair and ran out of the kitchen. His small feet made loud sounds on the floor. "Me too?" Lily asked in a tiny voice. "Yes, sweetheart," Katie said. Lily climbed down from her chair and followed her brother. She moved more slowly than Danny, taking small, careful steps. Rexall watched them go. He made a note in his mind. Human cubs leave feeding area before adults finish eating. They have much freedom of movement. He turned back to his pancakes and continued eating. The sweet taste was still wonderful. He decided he liked this human food very much. Ben and Katie talked about something called the news. They discussed events happening in their world. Rexall listened but did not understand everything. Human society was very complex. Several minutes passed. Rexall finished his pancakes. He drank some water from a glass Katie had given him. He felt content and full. Then a thought came to his mind. A cold thought. A worried thought. Where were the cubs? He looked around the kitchen. He could not see Danny or Lily anywhere. They had left the room and not come back. He could not hear them either. The house was quiet. His scales began to change color. They shifted from blue to a dark purple. This happened when he was afraid. "The offspring," he said suddenly. "Where have they gone?" Ben looked up from his coffee. He said. "The young ones," Rexall said. His voice was getting faster. "Danny and Lily, where are they?" Katie glanced toward the door where the cubs had gone. "They are probably playing somewhere," she said. Her voice was calm. She did not seem worried at all. Rexall stood up from his chair. All four of his arms were moving with nervousness. "Playing?" he repeated. "Alone? Without watching?" Ben and Katie looked at each other. They seemed confused by his reaction. "On my planet," Rexall explained, "cubs are never left alone. Never. There are too many dangers. Sand serpents that hide under the ground. Sky hunters that swoop down from above. Poison plants that look like safe ones. A cub alone is a cub in danger." Katie's face changed. She looked like she understood his fear now. But she still did not look worried. "Rexall," she said gently, "this is not your planet. This is Earth. This is our home. There are no sand serpents here. No sky hunters. Our children are safe." But Rexall could not believe this. His instincts screamed at him that something was wrong. Young ones should not be alone. Young ones should be watched. This was the most basic rule of survival. "I must find them," he said. "I must make sure they are safe." He did not wait for permission. He walked out of the kitchen to search for the missing cubs. Rexall moved through the house with all four of his arms stretched out. His eyes scanned every corner. His scales had turned completely dark purple now. This was the color of fear and worry. Behind him, Ben walked at a slower pace. The human male did not seem to understand why Rexall was so upset. He kept saying things like, "They are fine," and "relax," but these words did not help at all. You do not understand, Vrexal said as he looked behind a large soft seat that humans called a couch. On Kethra, young cubs disappear all the time. They wander away from their parents and then they are gone. Forever. Ben stopped walking. "Gone?" he asked. "What do you mean, gone?" Vrexal turned to face him. His 4 eyes were wide with memory and pain. "The sand serpents," he said. "They live under the ground. They can feel the movement of small feet above them. When a cub walks alone over the wrong patch of sand, the serpent comes up and pulls them down. It happens in seconds. There is no time to scream, no time to run. The parent turns around and the cub is simply not there anymore." Ben's face changed. He looked troubled now. "That sounds terrible," he said. "It is," Vrexal replied. "It is the worst thing that can happen to a family. That is why we never let our cubs out of sight. Not for one moment. Not ever." Katie had followed them from the kitchen. She heard what Vrexal said, and her expression became soft and sad. "I am so sorry," she said. "Your world sounds very dangerous. But I promise you, Earth is different. Our children are safe here." Vrexal wanted to believe her. He really did. But his hearts were beating too fast. His instincts were too strong. He could not just accept that the cubs were okay without seeing them himself. "Please," he said. "Help me find them. I need to see that they are safe. Then I will feel better." Ben nodded. "Okay," he said. "Let us look together. I am sure they are just in one of the rooms." They started with the living room. It was a large space with soft seats and a big black screen on the wall. Vrexal had learned this was called a television. It showed moving pictures and sounds for entertainment. The television was turned off now and the room was quiet. "Danny," Ben called out. "Lily? Where are you kids?" No answer came. Vrexal looked behind the couch. He looked under the small tables. He looked in the corners of the room. Nothing. No sign of the cubs. His worry grew stronger. They checked the room. Next to the living room, Ben called it the dining room. It had a bigger table than the one in the kitchen and many chairs around it. There was also a tall wooden cabinet with glass doors. Inside the cabinet were pretty dishes and glasses that Katie said they used for special occasions. "No cubs in this room either. Maybe they went upstairs," Katie said. "Their bedrooms are up there, upstairs." Vrexal looked at the steps leading to the second floor of the house. On Kethra, buildings did not have multiple floors. The ground was the only safe place to be. Going up high meant being closer to the sky hunters. He followed Ben and Katie up the stairs. Each step made a small sound under his feet. The sound was different from his home. Everything on Earth made different sounds. The upstairs hallway had several doors. Ben pointed to the first one. "That is Danny's room," he said. He pushed the door open. Inside was a small room with a bed and many toys. There were small figures of humans wearing colorful clothes. Ben said these were called action figures. There were also models of flying machines and vehicles with wheels, but there was no Danny. "Lily's room is next," Katie said. The second room was smaller and painted in light pink color. The bed had soft animals on it. Not real animals, but toys made to look like animals. Katie called them stuffed animals. There were pictures on the walls of cartoon characters with big eyes and bright colors. "No, Lily." Vrexal's scales turned even darker. "Where could they be?" he asked. His voice was shaking now. Ben scratched his head. This was a gesture humans made when they were thinking. "Let me check the bathroom," he said. The bathroom was empty too. Just white walls and a big tub for bathing. Katie looked out a window at the back of the house. "They are not in the backyard," she said. "I can see the whole yard from here." Vrexal felt his 3 hearts pounding hard. This was exactly what he had been afraid of. The cubs were gone. They had disappeared just like cubs disappeared on his home planet. "We must search outside," he said. "We must look everywhere." "How long have they been missing?" "Minutes? Hours?" Ben put a hand on one of Vrexal's arms. "It was about 10 minutes, he said. "Maybe 15? 15 minutes was a long time." On Kethra, a cub could be taken in 15 seconds. What terrible things could happen in 15 minutes? Do you have enemies? Rexall asked suddenly. People who want to hurt you. Maybe someone took the cubs. Maybe they were stolen. Katie's eyes went wide. Stolen? No, no one would steal our children. This is a safe area. We know all our neighbors, but Rexall had read about human crimes. He knew that sometimes bad humans took children from their families. It did not happen often, but it did happen. The thought made his scales turn almost black with fear. We need to call for help, he said. Is there a way to call other humans? People who can search for lost cubs? Ben held up both his hands. Slow down, he said. Let us not panic. They are probably just hiding somewhere in the house. Kids do that sometimes. They like to play hide and seek. Rexall had heard of this game. Young humans hid themselves and other humans tried to find them. It seemed like a very dangerous game to him. Why would cubs practice disappearing? On Kethra, cubs were taught to always stay visible. Always stay close. Never hide. Why would they hide? Rexall asked. Are they afraid of something? No, Katie said with a small laugh. They hide for fun. It is a game. They think it is funny when we cannot find them. Fun. The idea that disappearing could be fun was very strange to Rexall. Nothing about a missing cub seemed fun to him. Let us check the whole house again, Ben said. More carefully this time. They have to be somewhere. So they searched again. They looked in closets. They looked behind curtains. They looked in small spaces that Rexall did not think could fit a cub. Ben even checked inside the machine they used for washing clothes. Nothing. The cubs were nowhere to be found. Rexall's mind was racing now. He thought about all the terrible things that could have happened. Maybe there was a creature on Earth he did not know about. Maybe humans were wrong about their planet being safe. Maybe danger was closer than they knew. I do not understand, he said. Where can they be? We have looked everywhere. Katie was starting to look a little worried now, too. Not as worried as Rexall, but her smile was gone. That is strange, she admitted. They usually come when we call for them. Ben stood in the middle of the upstairs hallway. He closed his eyes and seemed to be thinking hard. Wait, he said suddenly. His eyes opened. Did we check under things? Kids love to hide under things. We looked under the beds, Katie said. Yes. But what about downstairs? Did we look under the couch? Under the tables? Rexall tried to remember. He had looked behind the couch, but not under it. He had looked around the tables, but not beneath them. Let us go back downstairs, Ben said. They walked down the steps quickly. Rexall's 4 eyes were scanning everything. He was looking for any clue, any sign of where the cubs might have gone. When they reached the bottom of the stairs, Ben turned toward the kitchen. Wait, he said. He stopped walking and held up one hand. What is it? Katie asked. Listen, Ben said. They all stood very still. The house was quiet. Then Rexall heard it. A small sound. A tiny sound. It was coming from the kitchen. It sounded like giggling. The giggling sound was soft and quiet. It came from somewhere inside the kitchen. Rexall felt relief start to wash over him, but he did not let himself feel it completely. Not until he saw the cubs with his own eyes. Ben walked toward the kitchen doorway. He moved slowly and quietly like he was hunting. Katie followed behind him with a knowing look on her face. She seemed to understand something that Rexall did not. When they entered the kitchen, everything looked the same as before. The dirty plates were still on the table. The bottle of syrup was still there. The cups of coffee were sitting where Ben and Katie had left them. But there were no cubs visible anywhere. I heard them, Rexall said in a quiet voice. I know I heard them, Ben nodded. He did not say anything. Instead, he walked slowly toward the breakfast table. He looked at the table in a strange way. Then Rexall noticed something. There was a long cloth hanging over the edges of the table. It went down to the floor on all sides. You could not see what was under the table because the cloth blocked the view. Ben got down on his knees. He reached for the edge of the cloth. Rexall held his breath. All 4 of his arms were tense and ready to grab the cubs if they tried to run. Ben lifted the cloth. There they were. Danny and Lily sat under the table in a small dark space. The light came in and made them blink. Between them, sitting on the floor, was a single pancake. It was torn in half. Lily had sticky syrup on her chin and her fingers. Danny had a piece of pancake halfway to his mouth. He had frozen when the light appeared. For a moment nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The cubs looked at their father with big eyes. They looked like small animals caught doing something they should not do. Hi, Dad, Danny said finally. His voice was small and guilty. Rexal felt all the fear rush out of his body. His scales turned from dark purple to light blue so fast that it almost hurt. His 3 hearts slowed down from their rapid beating. The cubs were safe. They had been here the whole time. Under the table, eating a pancake. He did not know what to say. He did not know what to think. On Kethra, this situation would never happen. Cubs would never hide from their parents. Cubs would never sneak food. The very idea was impossible to imagine. Katie knelt down next to Ben. Her face was not angry. She looked like she was trying not to laugh. "What are you two doing under there?" she asked. Lily looked at her mother with innocent eyes. "Sharing," she said in her tiny voice. "Sharing what?" Katie asked, even though she could clearly see the pancake. Danny pointed at the torn food. "Lily did not finish her pancake," he explained. "But I ate all of mine. So she wanted to give me some of hers? But you said I could not have more until I finished mine. So we came under here to share." Katie covered her mouth with her hand. Rexal saw her shoulders shaking. She was laughing, but trying to hide it. Ben reached under the table and helped Lily crawl out. The little girl had syrup on her dress now. It would probably need to be washed. But Ben did not seem upset about this. He lifted her up and set her on her feet. "Come on out, buddy," he said to Danny. Danny crawled out from under the table. He still had the piece of pancake in his hand. He looked at his parents like he expected to be in trouble. His small face was worried. "Are we in trouble?" Danny asked. Ben looked at Katie. They had another one of those silent conversations that humans seem to be able to have just by looking at each other. Then Ben turned back to his son. "You are not in trouble," Ben said. "But next time just ask if you want to share food. You do not have to hide under the table." "Okay," Danny said. He put the piece of pancake in his mouth and chewed. Rexal stood in the middle of the kitchen watching all of this. His mind was working hard to understand what had just happened. The cubs had left the table. They had taken food. They had hidden under the table to eat it together. And now the parents were not punishing them. On Kethra, this behavior would be very serious. Cubs were not allowed to take food without permission. Cubs were not allowed to hide from adults. Cubs who did these things were punished so they would learn not to do them again. Safety depended on cubs following rules exactly, but here on Earth, the parents just smiled. They just reminded the cubs to ask next time. There was no punishment, no anger, no fear. "Why did you hide?" Rexal asked. He had to understand this. Why did you not just ask for more food? Danny looked up at the tall blue alien. "Because I wanted to eat under the table," he said simply. "It is fun to eat in secret places. Fun." There was that word again. Humans seem to do many things just because they were fun. Not because they were safe. Not because they were necessary. Just because they enjoyed them. "And why did you share your food with your brother?" Rexal asked Lily. "You were still hungry. You did not finish eating." Lily tilted her head to one side. "Because Danny wanted some," she said. "And I love Danny, so I gave him some." Rexal felt something strange happen inside his chest. It was not pain. It was not fear. It was something else. Something he could not name. On his planet, cubs did not share food. Food was too important. Too rare. Every cub fought to get as much food as possible. If one cub had food and another did not, the hungry one would try to take it. Not ask for it. Not wait to be given some. Just take it. But this tiny human female had done something different. She had given her food away. She had given it to her brother because she loved him. She had made herself more hungry so that he could be less hungry. This made no sense to Rexal. and yet it also made perfect sense. It was strange and beautiful at the same time. Katie picked up a napkin from the table and wiped the syrup off Lily's face. "There we go," she said. "All clean. Now, why do not you two go play in the living room while we clean up breakfast?" "Okay, Mommy," Lily said. The two cubs ran out of the kitchen together. Danny grabbed his sister's hand as they went. They were giggling again like they had a wonderful secret that no one else knew about. Rexall watched them go. His scales had returned to their normal blue color. His hearts were beating at a normal speed. But something inside him had changed. He could feel it. "I apologize," he said to Ben and Katie. "I was very worried. On my planet, missing cubs usually means dead cubs. I did not understand that things are different here." Ben put a hand on Rexall's shoulder. "It is okay," he said. "I understand. If I lived on a planet with sand serpents and sky hunters, I would be worried too." "Your cubs are very brave," Rexall said. "To walk around alone without fear. To hide under tables for fun. On Kethra, they would not survive a single day." Katie started gathering the dirty dishes from the table. "Maybe that is true," she said. "But they do not live on Kethra. They live on Earth, and here they can be children. They can play and laugh and hide under tables. They can share pancakes with their siblings." She looked at Rexall with warm eyes. "That is what childhood should be," she said. "Safe enough to be silly. Loved enough to share." Rexall thought about these words. Safe enough to be silly. Loved enough to share. He had never heard anyone say anything like this before. On Kethra, childhood was about survival. About learning to fight. About learning to watch for danger every moment. But here on Earth, childhood was about something else. Something softer. Something better. Maybe, Rexall thought, maybe humans knew something that his people had forgotten. The rest of the morning passed slowly for Rexall. He helped Katie clean the dishes even though she said he did not have to. He wanted to do something useful while his mind worked through everything he had seen. The cubs played in the living room. Rexall could hear them from the kitchen. They were making up a game with their toys. Danny was pretending to be a brave explorer and Lily was pretending to be a dragon. Sometimes Lily roared in her tiny voice and Danny laughed. Rexall had never heard cubs laugh like that before. On Kethra, young ones were too busy learning survival skills to play pretend games. They practiced fighting. They learned which plants were safe to eat. They studied the movements of predators. There was no time for dragons and explorers. "You are very quiet," Katie said. She was putting the clean plates back in their cabinet. "Are you still thinking about what happened?" "Yes," Rexall admitted. "I'm trying to understand." Katie turned to face him. "What do you not understand?" She asked. Vrx single quotes. I'll thought for a moment before answering. "On my planet," he said, "cubs who hide from their parents are punished. Cubs who take food without permission are punished. These rules exist to keep them safe." "But you did not punish Danny and Lily at all." Katie nodded slowly. "I see," she said. "You think we should have been more strict with them." "I do not know what to think," Rexall said honestly. "Your way is so different from mine. I cannot tell if it is better or worse. Just different." Katie poured herself another cup of coffee and sat down at the table. She gestured for Rexall to sit as well. He did, folding all four of his arms on the table in front of him. "Let me try to explain," Katie said. "On your planet, strict rules keep cubs alive. If they do not follow the rules, they die. So punishment makes sense? It teaches them that breaking rules has bad results." "Yes," Rexall said. "That is correct. But here on Earth," Katie continued, "most rules are not about life and death. Danny and Lily were never in danger under that table. They were not going to die from sharing a pancake. So why would we punish them harshly for something that did not hurt anyone?" Rexall considered this. "But if you do not punish them for small things," he said, "how will they learn to follow rules for big things?" Katie smiled. "That is a good question," she said. "We teach them differently. We explain why rules exist. We help them understand the reasons behind things. And when they break small rules, we remind them gently instead of punishing them hard? And this works? Vrexal asked. Most of the time, Katie said with a small laugh. Kids are not perfect, but neither are adults. The important thing is that they know we love them no matter what. They know they can make mistakes and we will still be here for them. Vrexal's scales shifted to a thoughtful purple color. On Kethra, he said quietly, cubs who make mistakes often do not survive to make another one. Love is not enough to protect them. Only strength and obedience can do that. Katie's eyes became sad. That sounds like a very hard way to grow up, she said. It is the only way my people know. Vrexal replied. From the living room there was a loud crash. Both Vrexal and Katie jumped up from the table. Vrexal's scales turned dark again as fear returned to his heart. They rushed into the living room. On the floor was a broken lamp. It had fallen from a small table and shattered into many pieces on the wooden floor. Danny and Lily stood near the mess looking scared. It was an accident, Danny said quickly. We were playing and I bumped into the table and the lamp fell. I am sorry, Mom. I am really sorry. Vrexal waited to see what would happen. This was more serious than hiding under a table. Property had been damaged. Rules had been broken. Katie looked at the broken lamp for a long moment. Then she looked at her children. Is anyone hurt? She asked. No, Danny said. We did not touch the broken pieces. Good, Katie said. That is the most important thing. She walked over to the mess and knelt down. Do not come closer, she told the cubs. There is glass everywhere. I do not want you to cut your feet. She looked up at Vrexal. Could you get me the broom from the kitchen? She asked. It is in the closet near the back door. Vrexal found the broom and brought it back. Katie swept up all the broken pieces and put them in a bag. The whole time she did not yell at the cubs. She did not hit them. She did not even seem very angry. Danny was crying softly. I'm sorry, he said again. I broke your lamp. Katie finished cleaning and walked over to her son. She got down on her knees so she could look at his face. Accidents happen, she said gently. I know you did not mean to break it. The important thing is that you told me the truth and that nobody got hurt. You are not mad? Danny asked through his tears. Katie shook her head. I am a little sad about the lamp because I liked it. But things can be replaced. You cannot be replaced. You are more important than any lamp. She hugged Danny tightly. Lily came over and hugged them both. They stayed like that for a moment, a small pile of humans holding each other. Vrexal watched this scene with wonder in his 4 eyes. On Kethra, a cub who broke something valuable would face serious punishment. The lesson would be taught through pain and fear. Remember this feeling, parents would say. Remember it and be more careful next time. But Katie taught a different lesson. She taught Danny that mistakes happen. She taught him that honesty is important. She taught him that he was loved even when he did something wrong. Which way was better? Vrexal did not know. On Kethra, the hard way worked. Cubs learned fast because they had to. But maybe there was something lost in that method. Maybe cubs who grew up afraid of mistakes became adults who were afraid of everything. Later that afternoon, Lily walked up to Vrexal. She was carrying something in her small hands. It was a picture she had drawn with colored sticks that Katie called crayons. This is for you, Lily said. She held up the picture. Vrexal took it carefully with one of his hands. The picture showed a figure with blue skin and 4 arms. Next to the figure were 2 smaller shapes that might be children. Above them all was a big yellow circle that was probably the sun. Is this me? Vrexal asked. Lily nodded. That is you and me and Danny, she said, pointing at each figure. We are friends now, friends. On Kethra, this word did not mean much. Allies, hunting partners, soldiers who fought together. But friends? Friends were a luxury that dangerous worlds did not allow. Thank you, Vrexal said. His voice was soft. This is a very nice picture, Lily smiled at him. Her whole face lit up with happiness. She ran back to her brother to draw another picture. Vrexal looked at the drawing in his hand. A simple thing. Colors on paper. But somehow it meant more than any diplomatic document he had ever received. This tiny human cub had given him a gift. Not because she wanted something in return, not because she had to, just because she wanted to. Because she had decided they were friends, Ben walked into the room and saw Vrexal holding the picture. He smiled. "Looks like Lily adopted you," he said. "Adopted?" Vrexal repeated. "It means she has decided you belong to our family now," Ben explained. "When Lily likes someone, she makes them a picture. It is her way of saying you are one of us." Vrexal looked at the drawing again. One of us. He had come to this house as an observer, a scientist studying a strange species. But now a 5-year-old human had declared him part of her family. His scales turned a warm shade of blue that he had never seen them turn before. It was a new color. A new feeling, perhaps. Vrexal thought. Perhaps humans had much more to teach him than he had expected. Night came to the Morrison house. The sky outside turned dark and small lights appeared. Humans called them stars. Vrexal could see some of them through the window of his room. Somewhere out there, very far away, was Kethra, his home. His people but tonight Kethra felt further away than ever. Vrexal sat at a small desk with his datapad in front of him. The device glowed softly in the darkness. He was supposed to write his report for Commander Zira. She was waiting to hear about his observations of human life. He had written hundreds of reports before. They were always simple. Just facts and observations. No feelings. No opinions. Just data that the collective could use. But tonight, the words would not come. Every time he tried to write something, he thought about Danny and Lily under the table. He thought about the broken lamp. He thought about the drawing that Lily had given him. The picture was sitting on the desk next to his datapad. He had not been able to put it away. He started writing. Report from Ambassador Vrexal. Day 3 on planet Earth. Subject: human offspring and family structures. He stopped. This beginning was too cold, too official. It did not capture what he had really learned today. He deleted the words and tried again. Commander Zira, I have discovered something important about humans today. Something I did not expect to find. That was better. More honest. He continued writing. I observed a human family during their morning feeding ritual. The family consists of 2 adults and 2 cubs. The cubs are young, only 5 and 7 years old by human counting. They are small and weak and would not survive one day on Kethra, but here on Earth, they do not need to survive the way our cubs do. There are no sand serpents here, no sky hunters. The danger that shapes our entire society does not exist on this planet. And because of this, humans have developed in ways that we have not. Vrexal paused his writing. He thought about what he wanted to say next. The thoughts were clear in his mind but hard to put into words. He continued. The human cubs disappeared during breakfast. They left the feeding area and I could not see them. I felt great fear. My instincts told me that missing cubs meant dead cubs. I searched the house with the parents, expecting to find evidence of tragedy. Instead, I found the cubs hiding under a table. They were sharing food. The younger cub had given part of her meal to her older brother. Not because she had to. Not because he took it from her. She gave it freely because she loved him. Vrexal stopped again. He read what he had written. It sounded too emotional for an official report, but he did not want to change it. This was the truth of what had happened. Commander, I know this sounds like a small thing. 2 children sharing food. But I think it is actually a very big thing. It shows something about humans that we did not understand before. On Kethra, we believe that strength comes from hardness. We teach our cubs to fight and to take what they need. We punish them when they break rules because we believe fear makes them strong. Our way has worked for thousands of years. Our people have survived. Our civilization has grown, but humans have a different way. They teach their cubs through love and patience. They allow mistakes without harsh punishment. They let their young ones play and hide and be silly. And somehow, from all this softness, great strength emerges. He thought about what Katie had said earlier. Safe enough to be silly. Loved enough to share. Such simple words, but they held such deep meaning. I think I understand now why humans are so successful, Vrexal wrote. They are not strong despite their softness. They are strong because of it. When you raise cubs with love instead of fear, they grow up without fear. They are not afraid to try new things. They are not afraid to fail. They are not afraid to trust others. And from this fearlessness comes courage that is different from our courage. Our soldiers are brave because they have learned to ignore their fear. Human soldiers are brave because they have learned to love something more than they fear death. That is a deeper kind of courage. A more powerful kind. Rexall set down his writing tool and looked out the window at the stars. He thought about all the worlds the Kathrani Collective had conquered. Hundreds of planets. Billions of beings. The Collective was one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy, but had they ever conquered a species like the humans? A species that found strength in gentleness? That found unity in sharing? He picked up his tool again and kept writing. Commander, I recommend that we reconsider our plans for Earth. These humans are not weak. They are different. And different can be dangerous. Today, a 5-year-old human cub gave me a picture she drew. It showed me standing next to her and her brother. She told me we were friends now. She told me I belonged to her family. This cub has no reason to trust me. I am a stranger, an alien, a representative of a collective that has been watching her planet with unknown intentions. But she trusted me anyway. She opened her heart without hesitation. I do not think we could defeat such a people easily. Not because they have powerful weapons, not because they have advanced technology, but because they have something we do not have. They have the ability to turn strangers into family, enemies into friends. They have the power of connection. Rexall thought about what he was writing. This was not a normal report. This was almost like a warning. Would Commander Zira understand what he was trying to say? He decided to finish with what he truly believed. The Kathrani Collective has conquered many worlds through force and fear. We are masters of survival. We know how to fight and how to win, but today I learned that there is something beyond survival. There is something called living. Really living. With joy and trust and love. The humans have discovered this secret that we forgot long ago. We teach our cubs to watch for danger. Humans teach their cubs to look for wonder. We teach ours to take what they need. Humans teach theirs to share what they have. We teach ours that the world is an enemy to be fought. Humans teach theirs that the world is a home to be loved. I do not know which way is right. Maybe both ways can work in different places. But I know this, the humans have something precious. Something that all their silly games and messy pancakes and broken lamps cannot hide. They have hope. Real hope, not hope for survival, but hope for happiness. Hope for connection. Hope for a future where things are better than they are today. And Commander, I think hope might be the most dangerous weapon of all. Rexall finished his report. He read it over once, twice, 3 times. Part of him wanted to delete it and write something more appropriate. Something that would not raise questions. Something that would not make the commander think he had gone soft, but he could not do it. The truth was the truth. He sent the report. Then he picked up the drawing that Lily had given him. He looked at the blue figure with 4 arms. He looked at the 2 small humans standing next to it. He looked at the yellow sun shining above them all, a gift from a cub. A simple thing. Paper and colors. But also so much more. Tomorrow, Rexall would wake up and join the Morrison family for breakfast again. Maybe there would be more pancakes. Maybe Danny and Lily would hide under the table again. Maybe more lamps would break, and Rexall realized that he was looking forward to all of it, for the first time in his long life. The ambassador from Kethra understood what humans meant when they talked about feeling at home. He placed the picture carefully against the lamp on his desk, where he could see it. Then he went to bed with all 3 of his hearts full of something warm. It was, he thought, a very human feeling, and it was good.